here we're going to talk about how to create a bar exam study schedule. So I basically want to provide this resource to students who are not taking a bar review course. If you're doing a course, then you should have a schedule. For example, students who are signed up for our course, whether it's on demand or premium, we'll tell you what to do. We'll tell you what to do every week. You shouldn't be lost. This is for students who are self-studying. If you're self-studying, you still want a schedule to abide by. You don't just want to say, okay, I'm going to study something today. You actually want to have a plan because you're much more likely to study effectively if you have a schedule and a list of things to do. So just a couple things to note is this is a 2-month bar exam study schedule. It will have you review all of the uniform bar exam subjects. So if you're not in the UBE state, then you're going to have to revise this, add, delete, whatever. It'll have you complete almost 1,400 MBE questions, 72 essays, 19 MPTs, and you'll be studying for 56 days with 8 days off, okay? So you can stretch this out longer if you have more time. You can make it shorter if you have less time, but this is a good place to begin. We also have free resources to consult. So for example, we have MEE links, MPT links. These are on the NCBE's website. So they'll help you pass the bar exam. We do recommend that you invest in some things, even if you want to try to be as affordable as possible, because these are worth it. And what we recommend is released MBE questions, like for example, our MBE QBank, or you can get them through a different source. But if you don't have access to released MBE questions, they're well worth it. And also an MPT guide if you struggle with the MPT, because this breaks down the MPT in a step-by-step format. I'm not super impressed by how some courses teach students how to approach the MPT. So this is actually a pretty affordable option to start with. Some people need tutoring or they need something additional, but this is a good kind of self-study option if you're looking for something affordable. So we also have some other supplements and things that we recommend, but this is like a very good start if you want something like bare bones to start studying for the bar exam. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the whole schedule. I just want to show you how it's broken down. Basically, every day we tell you what to do, like day 1, review real property, do the July 2011 real property MEE, 30 real property questions, blah, blah, blah. So you can kind of go through and see what you're expected to do every day. And there is 1 day a week off in here. And again, I'm not saying you need to follow this completely. You definitely do not, but it's a good starting point if you are trying to come up with a plan to pass the bar exam. You should also be creating a daily bar exam schedule. For example, I'm not going to go through this in complete depth. What I really want to do is focus on the schedule that's on the screen. Because if you create something like this that's tailored to you, you're more likely to have success when you study. It's good to kind of set up your day, figure out what you're doing during the day, and then every time you study, have a list of things to do. Because if you don't, you're going to be wasting time or looking for distractions, and you're not going to study as effectively. Versus if you say, okay, this is what I want to get done today, or this is what I want to get done in these few hours, you'll be much more effective. So you can see that every day on this schedule includes breakfast, lunch, dinner. It also includes exercising every day. It's very important to make time for that. Even though you might think you're losing time, even just doing something for a half hour will really make you more efficient and focused when you study. So make time for it. And going to sleep at a reasonable hour. Now, you might change this. Like, for example, at 10 a.m., this schedule says listen to lecture. If I tried to start at 10 a.m. and study in the evening, it would not be good for me. I'm a morning person. I would do much better if I woke up at 4 or 5 and started studying earlier and ended earlier. After about 7 p.m., my brain shuts off. But some people are the exact opposite. They need to study more at night, or some people just study really effectively during the day. So don't depend on these times. We have a sample study schedule you can make your own. This is just an example of what it might look like. Every day has listening to lectures. So this assumes you're taking a course. After lunch then, memorizing that lecture. So going through the lecture, memorizing the outline, for subject number 1, for example, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Again, it's right after lecture. So this is the time when you're most likely to have the most success memorizing. And then in the afternoon, completing essays or MPTs and completing MBEs. So basically, you're spending about half of your day understanding the law and memorizing it, and then half the day applying it, which is how it should be. This will set you up for the most success. You might need to tweak this again. Maybe you don't have any of the law memorized. You need to focus more on that. I'm not saying this is the perfect schedule for you. It probably needs to be modified, but it's a good starting point. Another thing to note is that besides tweaking when you study and maybe perhaps what you do, you might want to take a day off every week. I highly recommend this. This has a student studying for 7 days, but studying for 6 might be much more effective. And you might want to switch it up. Sometimes people get bored doing the same thing every day, and they want to start listening to lecture in the afternoon or completing MBE questions in the morning or whatever. So feel free to switch up your study schedule if you find that it's getting kind of boring or monotonous, or that a routine change would be good for you. And then we do have a sample study schedule so that you can actually create your own rather than just relying on this. So next we're going to talk about some resources to consider when you are prepping for the bar exam.